Hello, viewers from all around the world. This is the Melting Pot, and I am your host, Izo. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wherever you're tuning in from, welcome, welcome, and welcome to the show. The Melting Pot is Canada's first online calling talk show, and on this show, we dive deep into topical issues that touches the life of an immigrant. Those issues can be emotional, can be cultural, can be behavioral. We strive to inspire, we strive to educate, and we also strive to entertain. As you know, on the show, I'm not alone. I'm always with a co-host. And today I have a very wonderful one. You will like her face and her smile. I like to call her Oh Sass. I like to put a lot of a bit of pizzazz when I call her name. There she is. Hi, Oh Sass.
Hi, hi Izo, how are you?
Good. We're still having nice, warm.
Viewers
Well,
everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah, Izo,
I
wait,
was
let me
saying,
say hello
just
to
saying
my
to you that.
viewers. I want to say
Oh, yeah.
hello to
Go ahead.
everyone all over the world. You're welcome to the Melting Pot. This is where we discuss, just like Izo has said. So, Izo, how has been your week?
Yes, I jumped the gun. I just wanted to tell you about my week without allowing you greet
I
our viewers.
know, I know.
Yeah, my week was good. It was really good. We still have
Mm,
nice. I think no, it's not as warm as August, but we've not gotten into the cold weather yet. So, yeah,
yeah, the
like
weekend
today's
was
weather
actually
was really,
surprisingly
yeah.
very warm,
Hmm.
beautiful.
Hmm.
Even yesterday, we're like, I get this is late summer, like an extension of summer. So it's
Yeah,
been really
yeah,
nice,
yeah, totally.
interesting weather.
So we are reaching you
Well, I'll
viewers
take
from
it.
Saskatoon in Canada, just in case you're wondering. And so, what weather are they talking about? We're talking about Saskatoon weather. And on the show
Hmm.
today, we have a very interesting topic. But this topic kind of touches emotions. So it is often said that immigrants go through four stages. Stage one, euphoria. That excitement you get when you realize that you have finally arrived at your El Dorado or a place where you have been longing for. For us, it was Canada. So that whole feeling of excitement. Stage two, reality. You're now in your new country, but you see certain things, the culture shock, some of the unpleasantness, and some of the, well, I say, little difficulties. And you're like, okay, yes, I'm happy in my new country, but this is not El Dorado, it's not some dream heaven. And then stage three, the loneliness, when you feel like, oh, I wish my family was here. I wish I could uproot my home country and bring it to Canada or UK or America, wherever you are. And then the fourth stage, which is acceptance, where you come to a place where you say, okay, this is my new world. This is my new reality. I'm going to take it and run with it and do the best I can with it. So today, we will explore a topic that resonates with many who has ventured far from their place of origin. It is a heartfelt journey into the profound impact of homesickness, the sense of longing, and the toll it takes on mental well being. So, today we are privileged to have a distinguished guest, a professor of psychiatry, joining us to shed light on the psychological dimensions of feeling home alone. So, if you're still wondering what is the topic, our topic today is home alone. So after we come back from our break, you are going to meet our guest and she would help us steer the conversation in the right place. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Thank you for joining us. Our guest today is Dr. Chidimma Ukandu Ndubueze. She is a practicing physician and an assistant professor of psychiatry at the University of Saskatchewan. She specializes in providing mental health for the general adult population. Ma, you are welcome to the show. You are so welcome. Hello, Dr.
Dr.
Ukandu. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. So before I start
And we hear
bombarding you
you.
with questions, I want to say this. The very first time I met you, you probably will not remember. So we went on this short boat cruise, myself and Osas. We
Yeah.
crashed the Sika because we're not members of Sika.
Remember?
So, but
I
somehow we were
remember.
invited and then we came on the boat cruise and you were so pleasant. And that was before I got to know who you were. You were so down to earth. You saw me, you greeted me. You know, it was later on somebody said, that is Onyisio, that is this is that. And I was like, what? What? You know, it's a pleasure meeting you here, Ma. And thank you for all that you do. Thank you. We are very,
Thank you
very,
so
Yeah.
very grateful.
much.
I know Sas has something to say, so
It's
I'm
my
going to shut up so that she
it's
would
my
say
pleasure
something.
to
Yeah,
be on
Dr.
the show with
Okandu.
you.
Yeah, have been a force to reckon with, especially among the women
Totally.
folk, especially in the Igbo community, but everywhere in Saskatoon here. Yeah, it's been a pleasure meeting you, and you've never disappointed.
Thank you.
Totally,
Thank
totally.
you.
So, welcome back to the show, everyone. Like I said, this is a call-in program, so we're going to open the lines very soon. Our numbers will be put on the screen for you to call us, and we want you to pay attention today because a lot is going to be learned by the time we are done. So, Ma, I'm going to start with the first question. Can you explain the psychological aspects of feeling home alone? And how does that affect different communities in Canada, to be specific?
Thank you so much, me show, and thank you for that warm welcome and introduction. Um, I remember that event so well where that you talked about,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
yeah, it's always a pleasure to have a time to meet with the women. I'm passionate about women and children, and so I always go out of to make sure that I'm available for when I'm needed in such situations. And
Yes, ma'am.
yes, coming back to the question, yeah, leaving home, because for us, Canada is our second home. We all have our first home came from as immigrants, and so leaving that home, very big task, very daunting experience. And just like you rightly did during the introduction, at the initial stage, all you want to do is go because you've
Yes.
planned, you've dreamed, this is all you've ever wanted. And then one here, it becomes the reality. And
Yeah.
then before you know it, um, the home alone syndrome can set in. So majority, I'll say almost everyone who leaves home and goes to a foreign land will at some point or the other experience this home alone thing. But, the thing is that we all respond to it or recover from it in different ways. And it all depends on who we are, our personality, our ability to assimilate new environments. And you know that because we're all different in our personalities and in the way we're made, we all will react also differently to this settling into a new environment. It comes with a lot of separation anxiety. It comes with a lot of separation anxiety. You've separated from home. sometimes it's difficult to connect with people back, maybe because of the time difference. You're working, by the time you're back, they're sleeping, and you find that it becomes a lot difficult for you to have that constant communication with people back home. And then you begin to feel lonely. That's when the
Yeah.
loneliness begins to set in. That's when you begin to, wish you could go back home. That's when you begin to, miss them so much that you begin to wonder, did I actually make the right decision to come here? So I think it's a lot really that happens during that initial stage of moving into a new environment from home.
Yeah, totally, totally. So if I would just add like a sub question to that, is there a time frame? I know you say people are different. So let's assume that you come into Canada, since we're all in Canada, you come into Canada this year from Nigeria or any other part of the world. So when does this home alone feeling set in? Is it like 3 months in, 6 months in, 5 years in, or when does it set in?
Honestly, there is no time frame, because and the reason is because we're all different. Some people, maybe a very small percentage of people, may not even feel it at all. Like, they will come in and before you know it, they've blended. So for some people, it will be, the first few months. And it's
Right.
obvious why that happens, because it comes with there is a lot of financial expenses. You're still searching for a job, but you're still spending money from home. There are a lot of expectations both here and back home financially, and you struggle to meet those. As your family and you have young children, your children are getting into school, and all the culture shock that comes from them trying to settle into the new school environment. God forbid they are bullied in school. When they come home, they bring that emotion back home. So you have a lot to tackle. You're trying to get them settled. You're trying to settle yourself. You're looking for a job. You're trying to make a home. You're worrying about to pay this and pay that. So the very first few months are usually the worst. But there's no particular time frame to these things, because of course it's not everyone that will struggle with all these things, and to which we struggle. In fact, there are people who, after even so many years of living in Canada, they still feel miserable. Like they still have not acclimatized. They have
Yeah.
not adjusted. They are still wishing, oh, I wish I could go home. I wish you can go home one day, right? Not that kind of wishing, but the kind where you're still living in solitude. You haven't found your community. You haven't found that connection around you. Here in Canada, you're still missing out a lot on a lot of things. There are still some people, like, even after a decade of living in Canada, they are still in that situation. So there's basically kind of no time frame to these things.
Yeah, Dr. Kando, actually, I appreciate what you've just said because I experienced it too when I just moved into right when I was still new. So how does that sense of isolation and longing for more for home, like longing for home, friends and all that, how does it affect an individual's mental health?
Yeah, so like, when someone is in that state of mind where all you want is to be home, when you ask the person, honestly, what do you miss at home? Some of them will talk about their family, the food, the connection in the community, and all those kinds of things. So I guess it's about what the person is actually missing. And if the person does not find thing in Canada, before you know, we need to experience some mental health problems. So depression begins to anxiety becomes a problem. You find that the person wants to isolate from other people. They begin to isolate because they can't find a connection, with others. So different kinds of mental health problems begin, to crop up. We've even seen people that go into psychosis as a result of the loneliness and, the inability to connect themselves properly in their new environment. So
Okay,
it
I'm
can lead
going to
to
just
a
chime
very
in,
diverse.
Doctor. Sorry, during the course of the show, I'm notorious for interrupting people, so please forgive me.
That's okay. Yeah, sure.
You
Feel
you
free to
used a
interrupt. Yeah.
term. You used a term, and I know that's a medical term, but uh, our coverage is wide, so I would need you to
Okay.
explain it. What is psychosis?
Oh. Wow. Okay. So psychosis is a mental problem, right? And it's a general term that describes different kinds of disorders, including things like schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, and some things like drug-induced psychosis and stuff like that. And of course, when someone is in a place and they have not gotten used to living in that environment, some people tend to lean towards abusing substances. Some people just maybe go to work, come back, stay home, and just drink. And then they
Right.
begin to, get some alcoholic hallucinosis, a form of psychosis as well. Some
Okay.
people, new environment might meet the wrong crowd, especially young people, and they must start, using things like peace, crystal methamphetamine, cocaine, and other drugs. And those can also
Yes, so
cause
that kind
what
of
we
leads me
call
to my second
drug-induced
question.
psychosis.
Yeah, so that kind of leads me to my follow-up question. And this follow-up question is kind of in different branches. So it is popularly said amongst our community that Africans, Nigerians to be specific, don't suffer depression. It's not a thing that we know. That there was even a time they did a what was that they said Nigerians are the happiest people on in the world. So my
On
question
earth.
is, how true is that? That's one. Then secondly, what's the difference between mood swings and depression? And what are the telltale signs that you know that, okay, this person has moved from the regular to depression and probably psychosis?
Okay, let's take it one after the other so that I don't
I'm sorry,
miss
I
all
just
your
bombarded
questions
you with
because
so much.
because I'm not taking notes, right? So that I don't miss
I'm so
everything, so I
sorry.
can be
I'm
able to
so
get
sorry.
through. But I think the I think the first one you talked about was the popular saying that Africans or Nigerians in particular are such a bunch of happy people that we never get depressed, right? So I think it's a saying, and I think it's a good saying. And the reason is because Nigerians, we are very, what's the word I was, we are very resilient. We are very resilient. In my experience and in my dealings with people from different nationalities and cultures, I've come to agree that Nigerians can be quite resilient. And I think the reason why we are like that is, one, the way we are brought up, right? The way we are brought up, and also our religion. We in Nigeria, people are very religious, and so because of that, it's more like it's built in you that you have to be minded all the time, and that is a good thing that we have because it shields us from stressors, right? So when we are in stressful
Yeah.
situations, we know how to adapt, know how to bear, we know how not to break down until it's obvious that we can no longer cope. So that's why it's as if we do not suffer depression. But no, we do. There is a lot of depression in our community, both back home in Nigeria and here in Canada. But the problem is that the way we are brought up, a lot of us like to live in denial. We don't want to accept that, there is something wrong with us. We want to believe that it's well. All the different sayings that we say, it's well with my
That's true as
soul.
well. Yeah.
It's not my portion. I cannot be
Yeah.
sick. They're talking about their this, that is not me. They're talking about. Have you ever heard Nigerians say they said or the doctor
Yeah.
said about, but they're not talking about me anyways because I know that I'm well. So those kind of things we agree with. That's how we kind of try to shield ourselves. It's good because it helps us, but there are times when those things can no longer help us. Then we need to face the reality and seek help when we need help.
Thank you so much. So my follow-up, one aspect you missed out when I was asking what's the difference between mood swings, because there are some people, especially introverts, that have these high incidences of mood swings in their day-to-day life. So what's the difference between mood swings and depression? How can we tell that, okay, this is not just mood swing, this person has slipped into depression? In a nutshell, what I'm saying, can somebody be smiling and be in depression?
Honestly, mood swings. Okay, let me find.
I'm so sorry, doctor.
easier.
We have a caller. I'm going to just hold that thought. I'm so sorry. I keep apologizing on this show. I'm such a terrible interrupter. But we have a call, and we're going to take that call,
Go
and then we'll
ahead.
come back to that subject matter. Hello, caller.
Go ahead.
You're welcome. May we know you
Hi.
and where you're calling from?
Hi, Izo. My name is Olivia. Hi.
Olivia, you're welcome. Is this your first time?
Hi, Olivia.
No. Hi.
No, Olivia has called before.
Hi.
She's a regular caller.
Right. You're welcome to the show. Go ahead with your question,
Thank you very
Olivia.
much. And thank you very much, Dr. Chidinma, for your insight. I have been listening, and I just wanted to just ask and find out, what are the signs, what are the symptoms and signs of mental health related to, mental health struggles related to home alone experience that individuals should be aware of? Are there symptoms that you should keep an eye open for you to know and say, okay, this has gone beyond me just being lonely? Are there other symptoms that one should look out for to know that, okay, this is no longer like loneliness, this is becoming a mental health struggle? How do you identify these symptoms, and what do you do? Thank you very much. Hello?
Okay, so
Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you so much, Olivia.
Yeah. Go on, doctor.
Okay, so thank you so much, Olivia, for that question. Yeah, so I think she just asked a straightforward question, but that question is also going to kind of explain your question, Isa, because your question was trying to differentiate mood swings and depression. So, and her question was to know the kind of maybe the basic mental health struggles that people can experience as a result of feeling lonely, and when to recognize that this is no longer loneliness, but a mental health problem. So, depression by definition is a state of feeling low in your mood, and this feeling low in your mood has to be consistent and ongoing for at least a 2-week period. So, and it has to be accompanied by certain symptoms, including things like too much or too little sleep, too much or too little appetite, reduced energy levels with little or no motivation to do anything, reduced concentration or interest in things that will normally bring you pleasure, and a whole lot of other symptoms, including to the point of severity where people have suicidal ideations with intentions and plans to take their life. So these are some of the basic symptoms of depression. So you see a lot of people use depression, especially in this part of the world. They use the word depression a lot, but they are not depressed, right? Because when we now have an assessment and try to look for those core symptoms and to make sure that those core symptoms have been ongoing for at least a 2-week period, you find that most people no longer will meet the criteria for depression. So that's where you now see some people that they're just having like mood swings, or call like unspecified mood disorder, meaning like they're neither here nor there. So for mood swings, some people will wake up and before the end of the day you've gone through different emotions. Some people will tell, oh, I woke up today very happy, but this evening I'm feeling depressed. And people will wake up very depressed, and before the end of the day, they've gone through a roller coaster kind of mood where they've had lots of crying, lots of irritability, lots of angry outbursts, up to all different kinds of moods and emotions. And sometimes for no reason. For other people, it could be triggered by things going on during that day, and for some other people these things just happen for no reason. So this is the difference between like depression and mood swings. So mood swings are intermittent, but like depression is a constant of low mood for a certain period of time with accompanying symptoms.
Wonderful. Thank you
So
for that.
for our caller who wanted to know, what do we look out? How do we know when somebody needs help and stuff like that? So if you're close to someone, or even if you're not close to them, you just, maybe in your community or in your workplace or your church or a friend, and you no longer hear from them, or you find that maybe this person loves to hang out and all of a sudden you don't see them at hangouts. Maybe like this person has no interest anymore in things that will normally interest them. It's usually good to give them a call or even a visit and find out how they are doing, because when you engage them you will really know what's going on. So if you now go to see this person and they start to tell you, oh, I haven't slept in days, my mind is all over the place, I'm so worried about this and that, I can't even focus, I can't concentrate on anything, I'm just tired, like those are the kind of things that will be ticking like in your head, and you'll be like, oh, this my friend really needs help now, I need to find how to offer something.
Totally. Thank you for such a very extensive explanation to our question. Osas, I know you have something to ask our guest, so I'll let you go.
Okay, yeah, I want to find out how communities and support play a role in alleviating this mental health issues and reducing the impact of this homesickness or the idea of isolation.
So how does the communities play a role in alleviating this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
How can communities?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a good question, and because of course I'm involved in my own local community, right? I am the I'm the Onyishi, the woman leader.
Yes, so I have to check this for you.
That is why, yeah, because I know actually Onyishi, she's a woman with many caps. She has a lot of feathers on her cap. She's a professor of psychiatry, and she's also the women leader of the Igbo cultural group.
Interrupt you because we have
go ahead, Izo. That's your job.
Exactly.
No, she has a collar.
Oh, please forgive me.
Yeah, I know.
Hello, caller. May we meet you, and where are you calling from?
Hi, good evening. My name is Daniel, calling from Winnipeg.
Oh, Daniel,
Wow.
our super fan. Hi,
Daniel.
Daniel, we have our DC now. Can you hear it?
Okay.
Well,
We're not using what we use yesterday.
Gradually.
Yeah, welcome. Please go ahead with your question, Daniel.
Thank you. So I hear you guys talking about loneliness and mental health. And
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know because a lot of us come from a background where we don't really appreciate therapy and all of that. So, at what point are you going to think that you need therapy, and how do you want to encourage people to use that opportunity of therapy once they get here? So, basically, like, what point do you think a person will say they need therapy, and how do you want to encourage them to take therapy?
Okay.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for your
So
question. Do you have another question? Hello, Daniel. Are you still there?
he's gone.
Okay, I think Daniel is gone. Thank you for calling, Daniel. Please go ahead, doctor.
Yeah. So go ahead with Daniel's question or
Yes,
the
please,
one I
ma'am.
was
Yes,
about.
please.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Please
Yeah.
let's
So
answer our caller.
eh, yeah. So in answer to Daniel's question, honestly, that's a big challenge, especially for we're Nigerians, right? So especially for our Nigerian community here in Canada, it takes a lot to convince us to accept that we have a need for treatment. And it cuts across so many, it's not just mental health, like even physical health. Like you can tell a Nigerian, oh, I think you need to go and see your doctor because the way you, it looks like maybe you look quite pale, and who knows, you might need, some blood work just to check out, see what's going on. It should be like, it's not me, I'm well, you know. So it takes a lot to cause us to seek help. And how much more now think about mental health, which where we are coming from in Nigeria, it's a no-no. Like people
Stigma
don't want to
attached to
hear it.
it.
Is the stigma
Mm-hmm.
is 100%. That is 100%. In fact, the stigma is so bad that even for us who are psychiatrists, most of our families and friends back home are not happy with us for choosing the specialty we chose. In fact, I remember being asked a million times, even by my fellow doctors in Nigeria, why psychiatry of all specialties?
Mm-hmm.
Because they believe that psychiatry is not an important, like you didn't see
Yeah.
surgery, you didn't see medicine, you didn't see pediatrics, all those ones that
Mm-hmm.
people will be
Mm-hmm,
proud
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
to tell their relatives and their friends back home that that's who they are or what they do.
Yeah.
So I myself also faced a lot of stigma from back home, from friends, from family, expressing their displeasure that after all this, what you could choose to do is psychiatry. So you can now imagine being a patient and being a Nigerian and accept to go see someone for your mental health. So the first thing a typical person would do is, have you gone to see your doctor? Which is okay. Go talk to your spiritual lead. Is it your pastor? Is it your imam? Whatever you believe in. If you're feeling like you have a problem, but I think the first thing is
Mm-hmm.
accepting that there's a problem. We
Yeah.
need to accept that first. And then when the person agrees, okay, yes, my spirit is low. I think there is bothering me that I need to talk about, and I need a trusted person to talk to. Trusted person is your pastor or your imam to that person. And that's what we always tell the pastors and the imams. We always say, when these people come to you because they trust you so much and they are telling you their problems, please be as practical as possible. Make sure to help the place where you feel like you're no longer able to help. And at that point, please point them in the right direction. Tell them where. So for us here in Canada, your first port of call will be to go to your family doctor, because your family doctor will be the first person to see. Because for you to see a psychiatrist like myself, you need to be referred by your family doctor. So you need to go to your family doctor and tell them what is going on. Most families will be able to handle, like mild, moderate forms of depression. They don't really need to refer you. They know what medications to give. They know, which counselors to send you to and stuff like that. And so you may not need the secondary or tertiary care. So that will be the first place to start. And also there is here in Saskatoon, I don't know if it's okay for me to share information about how people can get help for counseling and
By
therapy,
all
just
means,
like
go
our
ahead.
caller called. Yeah,
Yes, please
okay.
Sure,
go ahead,
sure.
ma'am.
Yeah, so
Yeah, our viewers are listening.
okay. All right, that's fine. So here in Saskatoon, if you want for counseling or for therapy in Saskatoon, that is free of charge, where you don't need to pay, right? Because I think money is usually an issue, and in Canada, seeking therapy privately can be expensive. You like hundreds of thousands per session, and so lots of people cannot afford to pay for it unless if they have good medical insurance that pays for part of that therapy. So then that is good, it's easier for them to afford. So for free services, you can contact the centralized intake for mental health and addiction services here in Saskatoon. Their phone line is 306 655 7777. Anybody can call that line. You don't need a referral by your doctor, anybody. You just give them a call and let them know you're going through a very rough time, or you're going through a depressive time, or whatever the problem is that you're having, and that you need counseling. So they'll be able to set you up with a counselor, and it's covered through your health card. You don't pay for it. That was the very first place to start. So like their name is mental health and addiction, so they deal with both health and addiction services depending on what the person is going through. And they also cater for both children and adults. So when you call in, there is, I think, choose one for children or two for adults. I don't remember what the options are right now, but it will be very clear on the line when you call. And then if you're looking for, other services that do not charge a whole lot, like the private ones will, there is a place called the Family Services as well. It's called Family Services Counseling. So you can always call them up. They do means testing, meaning they want to know what your income is so that they can be able to tell you how much you will pay, which will be way less than the private therapists will take. So those are kind of options of things that are available in the community.
Okay, ma. The question that Osas asked about
Yeah.
communities, if you could take that now, ma.
Yeah, okay. So I was talking about that one, and I said, so starting with my own community, the Saskatoon Igbo Cultural Association, always encourage, people, when you move to a new place, please find your tribe. I'll just use that. Find your tribe. Because I've seen a lot of people move to Canada and feel like, I don't want anything to do with those people. They are not just those people, because when the chips are down, you know that you need people. No matter how sophisticated you are, no matter how rich you are, no matter how professional you are, you cannot underrate the importance of human connection. There are so many things your money cannot buy. There are so many things that your community can offer you that you will not get unless you have that social circle that is very supportive. And honestly, I always tell people, like, even if you don't want to join your tribal community, find other associations or communities within where you are that you feel comfortable joining. And the reason is because social connection helps a lot to prevent us from having most of these mental health problems that we talk about. You
Yes,
know,
ma'am.
on a good day, if you don't have social connections, you go to work, you come home, you deal with your family, you go to bed. Canada, like even in the summertime, I've seen people say, this place is very boring, I don't have anything to do. And I'm like, are you sure? Like some of us, our calendars are like
It's full.
they are booked back to back, and in some days we have like 3 or 4 different events to go to. So
Yeah.
how did we get to that level? It's not like because we are out there, we have made ourselves available and we are ready to connect with people. That's why you get that level of connection. You can now choose what you want to do and what you do not want to do. But if you come into a community and you just stay by yourself and I don't need anybody to stress me, I just want to be on my, that's fine. But that on those days, especially on those cold winter nights, you're going to just be miserable. You're just going to be by yourself in the basement, eating popcorn and watching movie all by yourself. Unless if you have a very vibrant family that, gives you what you want. So you cannot underrate the importance of connection with your community. Find people around you, connect with them. New moms coming to Canada, you're having a baby, you don't know anybody. It can be terrible. But when you have a good support, reasonable women around you, they can be a very good support for you. You're coming here, you have young children who are in school or even who are in the daycare stage, and sometimes you might need someone to say, can my children come over to your house for an hour or two because I need to go run an errand. Some people think it's impossible in Canada, and I'm telling you that it's not. I know everything here seems to be monetized and all that, but if you have good support system, there are very good people around you who are willing to hold on to your child for you for a couple hours while you do something else. They don't necessarily need to charge you for it. Is building good support, good networks, as much as you're also trying to build communities or build support network. Also be mindful of talking, because there are so many toxic people out there. So when you connect with people and instead of getting supported, you're feeling, like these people are constantly trying to bring you down. Separate yourself from such people, because it's not every social connection that you build that is useful.
That
That
is
are just
positive.
they cannot stand, maybe all the good things happening to you, or they feel like acting is too
Totally.
much. So we
Totally.
try another person.
True.
Those are Nigeria way of saying things and doing every
Thank
time
you
is this
so
only
much.
she, now you alone. So always know
You
when
know.
to separate yourself.
Thank you so much. I really like how you bring it to the basics. I think that's why they call you Isi. And for those that are viewing from other climes that might not, I'm not an Igbo lady, but I'm going to make an attempt to explain what Onyisi is. Onyisi literally means the head. But Onyisi, if you want to look at the backdrop meeting, means the superior person, the chairwoman, the leader, the
Leader.
visionary, and so much more. Did I get
Leader,
it right?
yes.
I hope I got it right.
The-
Thank you so much.
100%.
MC Blank is in the house. MC Blank, you have to say
Hi,
hello.
MM. Hi.
How are
Hi,
you
hi.
doing?
I had to
How are
rush in.
you?
Hi, how you doing, Osas? How you doing, Izor? Mayo, you see how you doing? I'm so happy to see you here. I had to rush in because I was like, I can't miss this show. I can't miss this topic. It's very
Yes.
important. We need to know how to take care of ourselves, everything. So before, I know you've been asking questions and I'm not sure which one has been asked, but there's one that has been bothering on my mind for a long time, okay? What is the difference between clinical depression and depression? Because I just found out recently that there is actually something called clinical depression and the regular depression. Why is it so? What's the difference?
There is no difference. Clinical depression is a term that is also used to define depression. Actually, the clinical term that we use is major depressive disorder, right? So some people they are talking, or when they might say clinical depression is not different from the depression that we have talked about and explained. Not the one that everybody will be saying, leave me and deep jaw. That one is just the mood swings that we talked about. Sometimes you feel sad. Maybe you had a fight with your friend and she upset you and you go into a bad mood and you're like, leave me, you're so depressed. In fact, I don't want to tell you how my day has been. Yes, it's fine. That one will pass by tomorrow, or when it's, continues to, like we discussed before you came in, at least two
Yeah.
weeks consistent, the symptoms we talked about, then that's the clinical
Yeah.
depression or the major
But Dr.
depression. They're all the same.
Sometimes I feel that sometimes that is like the beginning of leading one on to clinical depression. Over time,
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
it's like you finding yourself in a scenario every time. Maybe you are going through a lot at work. Probably you also have some challenges in your home, in your home front, the children. It might not look like depression in the beginning. Along the line, it builds up, and it might just come, go, come, go, come, go. I mean, how do you term that kind of scenario?
Yeah, so just like you said, I know you were glitching a bit and we're missing bits and pieces, but I kind of heard most of what you were saying. Yeah, so it could be an early sign of, something is not right? But that's when it's very important for people around you to keep an eye out for you, and for even yourself to do a very honest self-check of yourself and be like, has this gone beyond me dealing with my stress source? Has it moved beyond, clinical depression, like said? So, always having that reality check and asking yourself, like, where am I in this thing? Am I, when I sway and that way because all the stressors are weighing down on me and everything, does it pass away? Am I able to keep it aside and still have fun and enjoy myself and have a good time? If you're still able to do that, you reach the stage where we'll be worried about you. But then if you ask yourself that honest question and you find that nothing you joy, nothing makes you happy. Like if you see a very depressed person, you could tell them, hey baby, we just won $1 million. We're going away to Hawaii to start. She'll just be looking at you. Okay. It's fine.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank
So
you so much.
like this person is not there.
I'm going to go. We have quite a number of questions to ask you, Ma. So I'm just still going to go on to ask some of the other questions. So can you share any success story or strategies for individuals who have effectively navigated the mental health challenges of being away from home?
Can I share their experience?
Yeah, maybe any story. You get to see a lot of people in your line of work. I hope I'm not going outside. I know you have
No, are there success
confidentiality.
stories?
Yeah, there's
Like-
success stories, and what are the strategies that they adopt, so that if there's anybody amongst our viewers that have a similar storyline and is yet to go for counseling or to see a doctor, they can glean one or two things from what you would say.
Okay. Well, I will say that there are lots of success stories. There are a lot of stories, like spanning my days in Europe, where I was before I came to Ireland. I could remember clearly then in Ireland before I came to Canada. I could remember so very well then I had a friend of mine who was in my church community then, and this woman was functioning very well. Like she's this super mom kind of a person, always in home front, the everything front, the career front, and just super awesome woman. And all of a sudden she broke down. She had a mental health breakdown. She had a psychosis. All hell just broke loose. Like, because the husband could not understand what was going on. The church could not, nobody could understand what was wrong with this sister, and she was dwindling. And so I was called in. Of course, they all knew my love job and everything, so they told me, there's this sister that needs help and as well. So what do we do? So we rallied around her, we prayed, we supported her, but most importantly, we helped her to seek medical help. So we started with her family doctor as usual, because that's the first port of call, even there in Europe. So we took her to see her family doctor, and by the time they checked her through, they figured out that she had problems with her thyroid. And so that the psychosis kind of is stemming from there. So, like, because everybody was confused, like, she doesn't use substances, she doesn't drink alcohol, we're trying to rule out all the possible things that could have, contributed. There is no obvious family history. So everybody was just trying to find out what was going on. Eventually, it happened that this sister's thyroid was in crisis. So you see, so they started the treatment. She ended up being even admitted to the mental health hospital because things were getting worse. Like, she was hallucinating, she was having lots of delusions about her family. Everything just changed for her. Her life became like a total turnaround. So, but at the end of this, she, succumbed herself to get the treatment that she needed. And before you know it, she came back to herself, and she kept asking what really happened. Like, she kept asking, and we kept telling her, this is all we could say, because this is all was found out problem. Your thyroid acted up, it threw things apart, you had a breakdown, and that's where we are. And now see how far we've come, and we're grateful to God that you have you're back to your normal self, and you can get back into your role, of taking care of your family and everything. So that was a big success story for us in that situation. It almost costed her marriage, because at a point her husband became quite like impatient, not supportive, and not really understanding, because us, you all know where we're coming from now. We don't really understand this. Some days he would just be like, why is she acting up? Why is she doing, like, we keep telling this man, why do you think your wife will all of a sudden want to stand up or start being this strange woman? Like, she's going through something.
Our usual
So it
self,
took a lot of encouragement, for that marriage not to have broken down. So for me, that's a success story that we have there. And there has been so many others, including, and most especially, moving here, it affects a lot of marriages. I must say that a lot of families, even as we speak. And the reason is because people are not being patient with one another. They are not understanding as high as it is here. And then we find ourselves here, it's just you and your husband with the children. You're the cook, you're the cleaner, you're the driver, you're the mother, you're the father, you're the ATM machine, you're the everything. At a point,